Yeah.
Give us what we want. Give us the things we like the most. How freaking dare they?
Oh, my hot take is I absolutely hate that.
Blood and guts for the sake of blood and guts.
Mm-hmm. See, you're not a good horror heroine.
I don't give a shit. I'd be the one still alive at the end. Welcome back to Better Dig 2, the husband and wife horror podcast bringing our couch conversations to the masses. I'm your host, Maddie.
And I'm your host, Shrade.
Grab a seat on the couch and let's talk horror.
Maddie, my love, I was inspired from last week's review of Undertone, and I want to take you on my own little version of a guided meditation.
Oh,
Will you
joy.
indulge me?
Sure.
Okay. Just get comfortable, lean back in the seat, close your eyes. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Okay. Imagine a frozen hellscape of a childless summer camp. Ghost children reaching out to find for you to find their corpses. The ghost of the man you killed trying to take vengeance on your sister. Oh, and everyone thinks you're losing it. How does that make you feel?
I've had worse Friday nights.
You know, that is true. I think that's true. No, I can appreciate that.
All right. So this week we are reviewing Black Phone 2. It came out end of last year. We just hadn't had the chance to watch it yet. And honestly, I'm really glad we did.
I am too. I'm glad it was a spur of the moment. Like, we should check this out.
Yeah.
You know?
So, Black Phone 2, written by Joe Hill. It is based on his short story, but he also was a writer on the movie. Scott Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill. Directed by Scott Derrickson. Starring Ethan Hawke, Mason Thames, and Madeline McGraw.
Now, as Finn, now 17, struggles with life after his captivity, his sister begins receiving calls in her dreams from the Black Phone and seeing disturbing visions of 3 boys being stalked at a winter camp known as Alpine Lake. As always, spoiler warning. This movie review is full of spoilers. If you do not wish for the movie to be spoiled, turn back now. I do think we should just start off. Let's rip the rubric.
Yeah.
I want to start it, if that's cool.
Okay.
Very happy with this movie. Acting quality, I gave it a 4. It was a limited cast. There weren't a whole lot of interactions, but every time that we had any of our main characters speaking on screen, it felt like the dialogue was good. There was some fun banter. The actors that were playing the deceased did such a phenomenal job of, body acting, and I was really, really impressed.
Yeah. So I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, you gave it a little bit more than me.
Yeah. I mean, first off, it's got Ethan Hawke. Like, great. I mean...
Yeah, it is hard to beat the Hawk, man.
Yeah. And then also Mason and Madeline, which were the 2 main characters returning from the original movie.
Yeah, kids all growed up.
Yes. Finn and Gwen, brother and sister. I really enjoyed seeing their growth since the first movie. Mm-hmm. I know Mason has been in other things. I am not sure about Madeline.
Was it How to Train Your Dragon?
Yes,
live action?
he was in the live action How to Train Your Dragon. I think he's been in a couple of other things since then. I would not put the How to Train Your Dragon. I did watch it. I would not put it as one of his best performances, but it's really hard. I don't think that movie should have had a live action. I don't know if they were doing that to try to give it the live action feel before they put Isle of Berk in Epic Universe.
That is a lot of effort just for something that was already going to be successful.
Yeah. I don't think that movie was needed at all.
No, I don't either.
And his performance trying to match or follow up the original Hiccup.
How can you beat that?
You can't. I mean, he, what's the guy's name? I can't think of it right now.
Jay.
Jay.
Mm-hmm.
He, like, Hiccup, I swear, was just made for him. And Mason trying to not make it a copy, but still trying to keep the same mannerisms and attitude. It's just hard. So I really wouldn't like tout that as one of his best performances, but he did well for what he had to do.
Yeah, and compared to what How to Train Your Dragon was to this movie, I
Yes,
think that he as an actor has really found that
yes,
niche.
this was a really good and like I said, going from Black Phone 1 to 2, seeing just his growth as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Just age and practice, but thought he did well. And then I love Gwen's character. Just sassy, smart-assy, but also scared and timid. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know? But intelligent, and that comes off in like the smart-ass remarks. I love it.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I think they all did well.
Okay.
And then even the sporting cast.
Oh, yeah.
Even if they're small parts, they were, and I agree about the three boys. They limited barely any lines, but they're just the physicality, everything.
Mm-hmm.
They were creepy little boys.
They were terrifying. And those creepy little boys were executed perfectly in costume design, which is going to get us to our next bit, visual effects and cinematography. Yep. I gave it a 5. I absolutely love the way this movie was filmed. We'll get into some of the really cool effects later, but for me, this was excellent storytelling through the camera lens, the way that they were able to set atmospheres, the shots. I mean, we're going to gush about it later, but yeah, 5.
Yeah. I gave it a 4.5. I think for me, it lost that half a point. For some of the visual effects, I wish they would have been more practical, because there were some points it was the CGI, and it would have gotten a perfect 5 for me had they been more practical seeming. I guess
we'll agree to disagree on that.
Mainly in the gore.
I see. That's one of the things that I think it did really, really well.
I think it did too, but for everything else to have been so good, I think I was able just to pick that out a little bit.
Yeah, I think you were a hater.
I'm not.
You're a hater who gave it a 4.5. I mean,
Well,
God forbid.
Yeah, exactly.
Audio, I gave it a 4.5. I thought everything was executed really well. The mixing of this film was super solid. Every pot and pan that banged, every heavy impact, the sound of the skates on ice, it was awesome. Very well executed. I had no real blunders. The opening song was great. Like, as they're getting to the camp, I thought that was awesome. And they did the atmospheric strings and tension very, very well. So no complaints there.
Yeah. I also gave it a 4.5. Sound effects were really good. I'm going to say this probably multiple times, but it was such a reminder to Sinister, which is also an Ethan Hawke movie. But that just suspenseful and almost like white noise, like a record white noise.
Yes.
It gave a lot of that. But yeah, the skates, the song choices they did, at certain spots. Yeah, the audio was good. 4.5.
Okay. Next up will be our story. I gave it a 4.5. I think it's hard to go from what I had anticipated the movie would be without going into it filled with spoilers. That I was like, okay, how are they going to pull this off? Like, yes, they leaned into the supernatural side the first go around. The original Black Phone was great, but how are they going to bring a dead guy back as the main villain? Or was he really dead? Like, does that take the agency away from Finn and like the hero's journey in the first one? So I thought the way that they handled it was really cool.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you. I also give it a 4.5 on story. Agree pretty much on everything you said. I didn't know anything didn't go in with any information. I had the same questions. I was like, how are they making a second movie out of this
Mm-hmm.
with the same villain? Or is it the same? Didn't know
Yeah.
what their plan was. And I'll dig into that more later. But it was a good story. And I liked how, the first movie, it was the kids, were the victims, and it was finally, they were able to, in the end, come back and get him. And then I like how in this movie, there's less helplessness. They kept what they gained in the first movie with their fighting back
Mm-hmm.
and the agency they regained, and they kept it, but yet they still showed how badly all the events from the first movie affected them.
Oh yeah, because it pays homage to the characters, the way that they, have, again, like you talked about. We're not starting from square one,
Mm-hmm.
and you understand the motivations behind a majority of the characters throughout, and you get to see some more like behind, not necessarily behind the scenes stuff, but you can see the turmoil that these characters are dealing with, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very heavy. Surprisingly heavy, and you're like, okay, like this is a very impactful and emotional story that they're telling with just the way the characters are behaving.
Well, because too often in horror sequels, they are just like, I'm just not even going to talk about what happened. Like, I'm over it. Like, can we just not talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
They just pretend like they brush it off when, if you get chased by a serial killer,
Kidnapped in a basement,
kidnapped in a basement and held hostage.
see a bunch of ghost kids.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's in the past,
Hear a bunch of ghost kids. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Hear a bunch of ghost kids. There's a very important distinction in this one that we will touch on.
Mm-hmm. That they just tend to brush it off and act like it didn't happen, and this is much more true to like real life, but then they still have to overcome, and they have healing to do to be able to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Scariness, I gave it a 4. I couldn't give it anything less. It was not the most terrifying, anxiety inducing, but the scenes where they showed the brutality against kids, which I'll get to that in just a moment, but it's one of those things, like if you do it the right way, it gives that physical impact,
Mm-hmm.
that like jarring cringe, where it wasn't just a gratuitous, like we knew that this character had a thing for children from the first one. So again, stayed true to that. The MO worked. We find out that these are victims from before, and so it was much messier, much
Mm-hmm.
more hastily done.
Yep.
And the way the disposal of these corpses happened, I mean, it was just, you really feel that.
Yeah. I also gave it a 4 on scariness. Similarly, having come off a movie I'd given a 5,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to, feel like this one didn't affect me as much as, Undertone did in what to me is scary. But I still had plenty of moments that I was like, oh God, like that's awful. And like you said, this was showing some of his first victims.
Mm-hmm.
And it was messy, it was brutal. So then you look at how he refined his craft over time. And so it was much more brutal, and to the point that it made me question, okay, is this the same person? So is this the next grabber? Is this a copycat? Because it was such a different MO than what we had seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all the ghosts of the prior children that Finn was talking to in the first movie, we did see blood. We did see, assumed how they died,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't watch it. And most of them, you assumed they were in his basement just like shooting fish in a barrel, I guess. He didn't have to be as brutal as he was with these, where he's literally like chasing them down in the woods with an axe.
Yeah. And then putting a body inside the oven.
Yeah.
And oh gosh,
Mm-hmm.
it was really well done.
Yeah.
Enjoyability. It's a very highly ranked movie for me. I gave it a 4.5. It checked all my boxes. I was not trying to check my watch to see, how much longer do we have? And when we got close to that climax, I was like, well, this has been really fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're cuddled up on the couch. We've got a good movie. We got Bailey sitting here just schnoozing away. Everything was hitting that day.
I gave it a 4. I enjoyed it, but there were those points where it would kind of pull me out, and I can talk about those later, but it just makes sometimes those movies a little disjointed for me.
Okay.
And I end up just nitpicking.
No, not you.
Not me. That's so out of character for me. So, but I still give it a solid 4 on enjoyability.
Yep. I have more bonus points, so I'll let you go first.
Okay.
We do have some that overlap.
Okay. So I gave this one 3 bonus.
Okay.
First bonus, I really enjoyed how they did the visual and the audio on her dream sequences.
Mm-hmm.
That at first, I guess we thought they were a dream, but then as it went on, it was more of she was kind of stepping through the veil, I guess, into another realm.
Yes, because she was not just in a dream state. Like, her body was reacting to things.
She could move, but she was still seeing through the veil, but she could still see what was going on in the present at the same time.
Yes.
So, but then at certain times it was just her mind, I guess, that was moving through.
Yeah, but only when the outside stimuli of somebody
was keeping her in place.
Keeping her in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I loved how they did that. So you knew it was so easy to distinguish when it was, the vision or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the grainy camera effect that made it look like an old, like, Super 8.
Yes.
It was really cool. The way that you could hear the, like, crackling of the film reel, and just it's very slight.
That's what it gave so sinister vibes during those sequences, like when they were watching the movie reels, because it was very, very similar audio and visual.
Yes.
The blackened edges. And it just gives you that, like, I don't know, that like icky feeling.
That's fair. Kind of like a gritty, like more dingy, where
like, I shouldn't be watching this. This is, it's a tape you found in an attic that's like 60 years old. And I mean, literally like the tapes they found in Sinister.
Yeah.
You just feel like, I shouldn't be watching this. Like, this tape is cursed.
Yeah.
So
I also gave it a bonus point for the dream sequences and the way that they were pulled off.
Okay. All right. My second bonus point, I'm just giving a bonus point for Mason Thames, which is Finn.
Yeah.
I really liked his performance. I liked how he really showed how Finn changed, how the events from the first movie changed him. He was more of just a quiet, kind of timid kid in the first one, and now he's snarky.
The opening scene, like, really
just beating the shit out of that kid.
Yeah, because at first you think, he's getting bullied, and then all of a sudden you realize he's just
I knew immediately. I was like, he is changed. Like, he is beating the shit out of this kid, and he had his reasoning, and he was just proving a point.
Yeah.
He has anger, obviously. But in that, he's containing it. He's got it in his little boxes, and he was literally he was proving a point.
Yeah.
But his whole performance, I loved, like, the point when they're at the cabin and Gwen and the boyfriend are like in the bunk bed, and they're like whisper talking, and he's like, "You're so beautiful," and then Finn goes, "Am I beautiful too?" They're like, "Oh my God, you've been listening this whole time?" And he's like, "Yeah, y'all aren't being quiet." just the little snarky, because that's just not how he was in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that really well. He played the snark.
Angry adolescent teen
Yeah.
who just needs guidance.
Yep.
Yep.
So I thought his performance overall, I think deserved a bonus point because I
Okay.
really enjoyed it. Third bonus point and final bonus point from me. I give it a bonus point for the summer camp setting.
You are a sucker for summer
I
camp.
am a sucker for a summer camp. And even in the beginning, I was like, a summer camp and there's snow on the ground. What the hell is this? And then it was a winter camp. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yep.
So they were able to put a summer camp in there, unexpected summer camp, and it made sense to the story, to the location. And I enjoy summer camp. It's goes back to just what is creepy. Old school horror movies. A summer camp is always creepy because it's out of your element. You're away from home. And then they added in the fact that it was deserted in a way because it was getting canceled because the storm was too bad and people couldn't make it.
Yeah, and like what a good way to balance out a setting where you have a summer camp. This incident had happened before. There were 3 deaths at the camp, and you are finally in a summer camp where the annoying little kids aren't just like bum rushing, our heroine and hero.
Well,
and
it takes away the summer camp movie stereotypes where it's like the counselors are fucking over here, not watching the kids, so that's when they're getting killed.
Mm-hmm. Then some crazy mom comes and she becomes a killer and blah blah.
Yeah. So you got the summer camp setting without the stereotypical
Summer camp baggage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the things that happened that made it creepier, like the fact that, hey, we still have, even though there's 3 of y'all here, kids, or, which they're the teen counselors, we still have to separate y'all. Even though you 2 are brother and sister, we literally can lose our license if boys and girls are in the same cabin.
Yeah.
So she gets put in a cabin all by herself. That immediately was a big fuck no from me.
Yeah, no.
I would have been like, yeah, sure. And then as soon as I'd been in the boys' cabin.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Just kind of keeping back on the summer camp theme. I have never had a positive experience at a summer camp. I did a front flip off the top bunk and had to leave early when I landed on my fucking skull. So that was cool. But there is something to be said. Like, there is comfort in hearing other people around you sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Being in a big ass room filled with bunk beds in the middle of the night, and then nothing is around.
And especially when there's a snowstorm going on.
Oh, yeah.
So all just the howling winds, and then you get you don't know if what you're hearing, just all the noise around you, and they've never been there before. Yeah, no, hell no.
Okay.
I would not have been in that cabin by myself. I don't give a fuck what they said. I'm like, I don't give a shit if you lose your license. I am not staying in this cabin by myself.
See, you're not a good horror heroine.
I don't give a shit. I'd be the one still alive at the end.
That's fair. I'll allow it. That was all your bonus points,
Yeah,
correct?
so that was my 3 bonus points.
Okay. I gave it 4 bonus points. Again, we touched on the dream in between realms, visual sequencing. Thought it was awesome. I briefly touched on the brutality against kids, but I cannot emphasize, if you are harming children just for the shock value of the film, it doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheap, it's easy, it's predictable. Like, we knew this was going to a summer camp, but he already had the MO. We knew what Black Phone was going into it. So Black Phone 2 playing off of that same world and story-driven motivation. I think it's really well done. And the fact that some of the scenes just happen out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You were like, oh my God, there's a mutilated, bloodied jacket with a bunch of like feathers. And then like the storytelling later is you see feathers falling from the sky. You're like, okay, puffer jacket, kid gets axed. Another location later is the camp oven.
Yeah.
He throws one of the campers in the camp oven and just burns him alive. You're like, oh my God. So like those scenes are nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I can appreciate how, I don't want to say tasteful because that makes me sound crazy, but how everything didn't feel just for shock value.
Oh yeah, it made sense. And at the beginning when they did it was just little snippets.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like it started putting the puzzle together later, and you were like, "Oh, yeah, like the yellow jacket." You're like, "Oh my god, that's Yellow Jacket Kid. It's the feathers from his jacket." Or there was a thing about the heat, and then you're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, it's because he was cooked alive in an oven." Or that's just how he was getting rid of the body. But yeah.
Yeah. I did another one for the effective use of the girl with the gift trope.
Mhm.
Gwen was awesome.
Oh yeah.
It did not feel forced. It was very reminiscent. I don't want to say of like it was more like The Craft than it was Carrie.
Yeah.
Where towards the end of towards the end of the film, she does go like kind of Carrie-esque in like a good homage style.
It did give a good kind of callback, a Carrie callback.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of where my mind went with it, and like you get to see Gwen's character continues to develop. She starts as this, insecure girl. She's got what is basically the shine. She can see, these entities reaching out. She can kind of interact with them in their plane of existence. And so, unlike Finn, she can see them when she's in this state. Where Finn, he is haunted by phones, which is terrifying in that time. Like you just walk by an out-of-service payphone, he answers it. I can't help you. Click.
Yep.
But for Gwen's character to have this developing ability, and we get to see it just really well executed as the story goes on.
Well, and I liked, it was in the first movie. She was just barely starting to get these instances of these visions or whatever. And that's obviously how it helped her find Finn in the first movie. So now it's like it's developing more. So it wasn't just like an out of the blue thing, and they were able to grow on that. And then they also tied into it's like, oh, it's genetic or something because her mom had it.
Yes.
And then the fact that that ties into the story even more, there was so many just things that weaved in together in this movie and tied in different places to just bring it all together, and like how those kids are tied into this storyline of the grabber in so many different ways.
Yeah, it was kind of really well done the way that they had all those loose threads, and then you see the web as it's coming together, and it gets closer and closer and closer, and then it comes to a head. You're like, okay, this is great. This is great storytelling. This is great directing. This is an excellent script. So kudos to them. My final bonus point ties into my favorite scene of the movie, but the camera work when Finn is in the phone booth and you first get to see the kids. And what the camera does is it pans around Finn inside, phone booth is clear all the way around it. You can see out. But every time you would hit one of the corners that you can't see through, one of those kids' bodies would pop up. And then it would pan the other direction as they're calling. Because at first you're like, okay, it's like one kid. Then it's two kids. And then it's these three kids. And you're like, oh my God. And then the scene, there's like a small cut. And then they're just right next to the glass as they're talking. And there's something so unsettling about telephone communication with invisible ghost kids, but you, the audience member, get to see the ghost kids, and they're not even talking. The camera is just panning to which one is talking until finally that happens. And then a little bit later, I think maybe the point just goes to all the phone booth scenes. Claustrophobic, terrifying, great cinematography. The grabber scene was nuts. So I loved it. My final score for this movie was a 30.5. It was a solid A.
My final was a 29, so it's B plus. Almost gets an A.
High praise.
I do want to say something about that phone booth scene.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that too because I would have loved to have seen a making of that scene because in my mind they could have done that in one take where it was just whenever it moved, the actor was getting out of the way or stepping in, and it was just the moving, and they could have been moving in place and moving around the camera angles. And I'd love to know if they did it that way
I
because
want to think that they did.
yeah, it felt that way. Like it just when they moved, someone was moving in and out of frame, and then yeah, even in the background too, you would see the kids, and then it would pan again, and there would be another kid, and then it'd pan again, and there'd be another kid.
Okay.
And then I did like they were talking, like you said, they would show the kid who was talking through the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and their mouth was moving, and so you could hear the distorted through an old phone voice, but you could see their mouth moving, and so it gave you that effect of that's what they sounded like. And it was like watching them speak, and it was like a voice from the past feel.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, very disjointed.
mm-hmm.
Like almost to talk to somebody through this conduit that is
Well,
the phone.
that's the only way we'd hear their voice too, because when we would hear them talking in the mid realm or whatever you want to call it
Mm-hmm.
to Gwen, that's how their voices sounded.
Yeah.
So that's the only you never hear their voice clearly, and so it just keeps up that like off feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was good.
Okay. Let's keep rocking. I do want to talk about our favorite and least favorite scenes.
Okay,
Would you like to start us off?
sure.
Okay.
So I will start with the bad.
Okay.
I mean, not really bad, just my least favorite scenes. And this is, I guess, where it's those points that it kind of took me out of it for a second.
Okay.
So the kitchen scene when Gwen, the grabber, is interacting with her
Yes.
in reality, like he's affecting her in the veil or whatever, but it's affecting her in reality, and everyone is seeing it for the first time and believes her. They understand like what's going on.
They finally believe her.
But it seemed a little goofy.
How dare you?
Because it was like she was just spinning in the air.
That's
like
the
he was
best
like
part.
like he was spinning her like a basketball on his fingers. So you can't see him. So you can't see what he's doing. You can only see her. I think it would have been better if she was just being straight up slammed into the ground, into the walls, into stuff, instead of just like rotating in the air.
No, see, I think you've missed the mark here.
No,
And-
that it just came off because then they're all just standing there
Well,
watching.
yeah, the little girl from The Exorcist floats up in the air. What are you gonna fucking do?
Yeah, but she was actively threatening. Gwen is like screaming for help.
Yeah, and Finn,
and all the
listen,
adults are just standing there doing jack shit.
Yeah, no shit. She's literally floating in air. One lady's so far up her own ass, she thinks that she's the devil.
She can go fucking die in the lake too. I don't like her. But that was just one of the scenes. It got a little goofy to me.
I think
it would have been
goofy
more
and fun.
impactful if she would have been getting like hurt.
That was coming.
I know she got hurt, but like what was he doing? Just like floating her in the air.
I think that's the best part about the supernatural like aspect of it is like he doesn't just have to physically like harm you in ways that you would think like, okay, he punched her and she goes flying. Like being able to basically grab somebody and just spin them around is
I don't
it's
know.
a little silly.
Had it looked like,
but it was cool.
Had it looked like if she'd have been like upside down and her legs bent where it looks like he's like holding her over his shoulder and about to like drag her somewhere, or literally like she's being dragged across the floor, feet in the air, something like that, I feel like would have been better in that scene than just Scooby-Doo, scary movie.
Oh.
She's getting just rotated.
If it was
in the air.
Scooby-Doo or Scary Movie, she would have been Tombstone, or she would have eaten a Cold Stone Stunner. Like, no. Or the Batista Bomb. But she didn't eat any of those. She just spins around for a minute, gets thrown around, and starts to bleed.
It was just a little, it stepped over the line of goofy. And that's what I'm saying. It was just one of those times that kind of took, because I was like, okay, this is dumb for a second. I was like, and then the fact that everybody's just standing there watching, I'm like, go grab her. Like, pull her out of there, especially when she starts getting like taken towards the oven.
Finn makes it in there to protect his sister because he figures out like the big thing is that the grabber is trying to take vengeance on Finn by hurting his sister. So Finn gets in there. He's not afraid to no ghost. He grabs her, pulls her down. The grabber's like, ah, shit, Finn's here. I'm going to roll out. And then
Yeah.
he just bounces.
He does. He just like gets back into the shadows.
And how cool was that effect where he just
yeah.
turns into mist, basically?
Mhm.
You know, it was really
Which
cool.
I like that because it did kind of show he was, even though he was putting on a big talk about getting revenge on Finn, he does have a little fear towards him because he was the one
Killed him. Yeah.
He caused him, the grabber, to kill his own brother.
Oh, yeah, the math shirt
So
guy.
he's responsible for his, he calls him responsible for his brother's death. And then he was the one out of, who knows how many kids. Like we don't even know a number.
Yeah.
That he was the final one. So even in the afterlife, he says he's in hell. And he still has fear of Finn.
Yeah. And like fear is a great talking point as well, because that's what he's basically, until those kids' corpses are found, their ghosts are terrified.
Well,
and
that's how
grabber.
he's linked to. He's still able to stay in this realm, this side of hell. It's it's still his anchor.
Yeah, so it's almost like the old, what is it, the proverb, like you die twice, once when you die, and then when the last person speaks your name for the last time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was really cool how they flipped it and was like, oh, if you terrorize enough people and all the bodies get found, like that's what gives him this power. And if you take that away and put those spirits to rest, they no longer are afraid of you.
Well, and I think it was more the fact that those were his first. And that's why they were so important to him. And that place.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the grabber was like born. So I think that's why it was such an anchor point.
He wasn't the grabber yet. This was Wild Bill Hickok.
Yes, but what ended up becoming the grabber.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's another thing too. The WBH under the ice was a really cool effect where the children's bodies, as they're being pushed up and then pulled back under, they are leaving little letters, and as each one of their stories unfold, WBH
and how
out.
It was such a long, how it was so long in the making, because their mom had received visions when she was a counselor at that camp. But she had received visions of the same thing, but it was the kids writing a phone number, and it ended up being the phone number to the black phone in the basement. And then Gwen got visions of the kids writing letters, and then she like sleepwalks out or vision quests out, gets into the basement to answer the black phone of her mother calling from the past. I mean,
yeah, it really does play with time, and I was kind of worried that we would continue to have smash cuts between of like past and present, but they limited it. It was really well done.
Well, and they played with time in the first movie a little bit, just that supernatural. So they don't go too deep into it where, time is such a hard concept to
it's like a weird
write.
Soup.
It's a weird soup.
Yeah.
So they dabbled just enough where it didn't get too way out there.
Okay.
So
I will raise your least favorite and put my least favorite.
Okay.
I hate the dad so much. Yes, you get the characters like backstory and why he's sad and why he was an alcoholic and why he's a shitty dad to Finn and Gwen, but he sucked. And then like during the resolution where he gets a snowplow and then Gwen's like, she's like, I've had one of my visions and Mom didn't kill herself. The grabber killed Mom and then put her body here, and that's why Dad found her, and that's why he drinks. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but also like your kids needed you. Now you know. And then he's like, I don't believe you for like 2 minutes, and then he was like, okay, yeah, your mom was freaky too. Like she was touched, so I'll believe you now.
I think it shows that like I said earlier, it showed real human emotion and effects of different kinds of traumatic experiences.
Yes, I just for whatever reason I still just cannot get past how terrible the dad is.
Yeah.
And kudos to the actor for playing such a good unlikable character.
Mhm.
I hope to see him more in some other roles. I think it would be fun.
I hated him more in the first movie.
Well, he was terrible in the first movie because he just like shut down.
Yeah. So even in this one, I did laugh how Finn is basically like, listen, you're just a formality. Basically, that's how he treated him.
Yeah.
Even though he is still a child, he's still a minor.
Well, he had to grow up so quick. Like you don't go through that traumatic of an experience, and then like your bum ass dad is like, sorry, I'll let you get kidnapped.
Yeah.
My
And then
bad.
didn't do anything to actually help find you. That was all your sister.
Yeah, little weird sister with her fun gifts.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, okay.
It's like at that point, it's like, listen, you're just a roommate.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like the whole line of like, don't drink while we're gone. And he's like, I'm gonna be what is it, 3 years sober?
Yeah, because he had quit drinking, I guess, either after they got Finn back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at least that, he could have gotten so much worse.
Yeah.
He lost his wife traumatically, thinking he
was part of the reason,
to blame, and going through that, and then losing your kid, getting kidnapped and then getting him back and realizing what they'd gone through he could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
So
at
least he was trying.
Yeah.
And again, when the kids were gone, he easily could have turned back. It showed that temptation.
Yes, and then he like calls in a favor
to go get his kids.
To go get his kid. Yeah.
They're all healing.
Don't make me empathize with the dad and root for him. I wanted to not like him.
You wanted someone to like completely 180 and become hero dad after
if he would have been made a martyr, I would have been happier. Like if he died for his kids, which he tried to do at the end when he goes okay, fine. The dad wasn't that bad. I take my negative back. But my other negative is the skating was silly. Take that.
Okay. It was, but to me, it was not as silly as the kitchen scene because they gave a reasoning for it. They said that he was like a ice hockey player and he was like the best skater. So someone coming at you on ice skates, you know how fast they can get going on skates? It's more menacing than anything.
It is fun.
It's a little silly, but then you're like, oh, fuck. Like he's...
Yeah, there's like a serial killer on ice. I get it.
You have somebody coming at you on skates with an axe and you try to turn around and run away. What's going to happen?
You get your face cut.
You're going to bust your ass first. Like that is worse or scarier, more menacing than running away from Michael Myers and him always catching up, but always just walking. To me, that is more, because that's like running in quicksand. I mean, and then if you're trying to get away without falling and you're like penguin walking away and you have someone hauling ass after you on skates with an axe.
Yeah. Well, listen, we can both just agree it was kind of silly. It was a stylistic choice. It made sense, but it was still in practice kind of silly.
It was, but it made the most sense for the setting. Because how else was he going to come running at them?
I was hoping it would be like a can you take me higher moment where he's just floating across the ice. And like, that's more menacing to me personally, is just like hitting the tee and then just... But no, it was cool. And the fact that it was like his gnarled feet with like ice.
Yes.
Like ice skates made out of ice.
And
cool.
That was one of the little flicker images at the very beginning of the movie. Like one of the little puzzle pieces. You see this like decomposing foot stepping out of like the snow and ice. Mm-hmm. And it was like his foot.
Yeah. It was him waking up.
Just his foot with an ice skate on it, with just the blade attached. Yeah.
So for me, that's where my mind went. Like thinking back on it, is like he talks about when he remembers he woke up,
Mm-hmm.
and could remember all of the things. And I think that was the moment.
Yeah.
And they showed that on screen. And if that wasn't the intent, you got me. But that was awesome. But let's not nitpick on the negative. I don't have a whole lot more negative to say. So
Okay.
let's hop into the good stuff.
Okay. So some of my favorite scenes, I'm going to start out with my just petty enjoyment.
Okay.
I hated Barb.
She was a very unlikable character.
Oh my God. I hated her. And so first off, when Gwen like told her off and called her a twat,
That was great.
it was so good because like her just appalled face because she just said it like deadpan, didn't really like raise her voice. So it wasn't just a teenager being rebellious. And she got her so good. It was so funny.
Yeah.
I was rooting for Gwen so hard in that scene. And then at the end of the movie, when she got, I don't even remember if she got clotheslined or if she was, trying to run from, which she couldn't see him. But I think maybe Gwen turned around and told him to run, like he's coming.
Yeah.
But I think she got hit or she got tripped or something.
Well, her husband got, so like they were bundled together,
Mhm.
right?
He got hit. She fell, whatever happened, and
then
she
just,
face planted on the ice
Yeah.
and just smashed her nose, and it was just so good. Like that was my petty revenge of the movie was when Barb first got told off by Gwen and then getting her just schnoz just smashed on the ice.
You love a good comeuppance,
Yep.
don't you? Okay.
And it's like she was just a righteous bitch, I guess. So she didn't even do anything wrong, I guess.
She did say like nothing bad has ever happened here. Like,
Yeah, she
very
was trying to hide it.
Yeah.
I honestly thought because of the way she acted, I thought maybe one of the boys was theirs.
No,
but
I don't think what would compel you to stay unless you're like in that weird mindset that Mondo was, where he was trying to find them. Which also good for them giving us kind of a red herring with the first flashback scene you get to see of like the back of the grabber or Wild Bill, where he's got the long hair. Because it for a minute we're like, that's awfully long hair, and then Mondo, who is like the head counselor, super great character, and you're like, oh man.
Well, he pulls the picture off the wall.
Yeah.
And he's like, this was my first camp or something.
Yeah, one of the early
and
camps.
you see him and he's got long hair too.
Wasn't it the mom's summer camp? Because like you get to
maybe
see
one of them.
Yeah, with the killer, you grab her, Wild Bill for this instance. Yeah, I think that was the.
But they show Mondo first, and you see the long hair, and you're like, oh, Mondo.
Yeah. No, I do think it was cool how they give us that red herring, and then you see Mondo kind of try to take mentorship over Finn in such a really effective way. And the scene where he's like, this isn't even good weed. Like when he takes the weed from him, and he's like, you can't have this. Also, this is shit weed. Like, all right, cool,
I
man.
just laughed Finn. He was like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, kick me out. He's like, I'm just going to take it. Don't worry.
Yeah. And then my next favorite, it would just be, first off, like I said, the dream sequence, visions, other realm, whatever you want to talk, any of those, just it's like it was a snap, and you just immediately were like on edge because you knew something was going to happen. It just gave completely creepy vibes. But I liked how when they wanted to do over the top, just ridiculous gore that is just cannot be real, they would do it in those vision sequence, and it was like her having a nightmare in some of those. It was like the kids trying to get her attention.
Yeah, that's one of my scenes.
And they could do it over the top, and it made sense. So I thought that was a really good workaround to doing just the shock value gore that is unbelievable, but it's fine because it's in a nightmare or it's in a vision sequence.
Yeah, and that's the first time that you see she can be affected in this dream state, Freddy Krueger style. And you're like, okay, cool. Like she's got a burn mark from the kid that was,
Yeah.
burned alive.
But when the one that got his face cut and they did it in the window,
Yeah.
and then half of the head is like on the ground, like gaping like a fish and like
And
and
talking.
yeah. So stuff like that is not realistic at all when it's done in movies, and you're just like, okay, whatever. Like,
but that didn't pull you out.
No, because it was in a vision.
Yeah.
So it's like anything can happen in a nightmare. Anything goes in a nightmare. So when you want to put those completely unrealistic things in a horror movie just for the shock value, and it's gross and it's scary, I get that. For me, it's got to be explainable. So the fact that it was in a nightmare vision, whatever you want to call it, perfectly good. And that's spooky because that's in a nightmare or whatever. And it's just like when you're having your own nightmare, and it's like, it just makes it exponentially worse.
Yes.
Because you can't pull yourself out of it.
No. No, I usually have to, like, if I'm hopped up on Sudafed during a flu season and having a night terror, I usually have to depend on you to wake me up.
Yeah.
So
it's like you're locked in and you can't get away from it. And so it just makes it that much worse. And so for me, no, that did not pull me out because
good.
Especially with the imagery of knowing you're in this, it even felt like you were in the nightmare too. Like your nightmares they look different than real life.
Yes.
Your dreams look different. And so it just made it that much more.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can't believe you snaked one of those scenes from me. How dare you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, before you jump in with another scene that I want, the scene where they have stopped Gwen's body from going out, like she's trying to follow, so she just follows in her mind, and then the grabber starts to interact with her. How horrifying was it when she starts getting slammed on the bunk beds because she's on the bottom bunk, and then she's flying up to the top. You see blood's gushing. And then at one point, he's got her around the neck with like the belt or the whip or something, and basically Crank starts her like a lawnmower. And then she's flying sideways, and they're being pelted in her blood as she's spinning in the air. And I was like, that's so wild.
That was another one of those that it was a bit much. And the way that she was bleeding, I was like, okay, whatever. We'll give it a pass. But
man,
I guess it was, I get that they're mirroring what's happening to her in Vision World versus reality, or other realm versus reality, but physics still apply.
Yeah. It is cool how, as the story goes on, you can see the grabbers like not just focused because he's becoming more and more desperate. So the scene on the ice like, towards the end, Gwen kind of goes through the evolution. She realizes that these are her dreams.
Yes.
Finn is trying to be like, well, it's your dream, just make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden she hits him with a Tai Chi move and he just flies away, and he's like, oh shit, what the hell was that? So then he pivots and goes after Finn and the dad. Right? Because they are like getting the last bodies out from under the ice. They find them, they get everything marked and keep it going. And then, the ice skating scene, she's like, it's going for you, Finn. Barbara takes an axe, like you said, that the wiener ass husband takes an armpit slice.
Yeah.
And, you're like, oh, damn. Mondo, our sweet Mondo, he previously took a frozen bath. Then he takes a little bit of a noggin.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then they kind of get this back and forth where she's helping. The bodies come up from under the ice. One of the ghost kids like stops the grabber in his tracks. And then Finn is like, holy shit. So he can feel him after he's been knocked off that. He feels him, and then he just grabs the head and starts smashing it into the ice, which is such a cool effect because you're like, okay, it was like watching the Invisible Man get his head bounced.
Yes.
Like, holy shit. And it's affecting everything around him, and he can feel it as he's just bam, bam.
Well, and
bam.
that was a good, if you're still like, oh, well, this is still the kid from the first movie who is like timid, shy, whatever. At least we got that fight in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And we know the kid can throw some punches, and he's kind of ruthless now. So you get that he's like, oh yeah, he's not gonna hold anything back.
No, and he's letting go of his trauma.
Oh
It's
yeah, it was a
very
release.
yeah. It was the final like release of his trauma of this like hatred he
Mm-hmm.
has, and so that's kind of a really cool way to introduce your character and showing that kind of
Mm-hmm.
growth.
And he got that last little like one liner in there, and it was just it
that
was a
was good.
good.
That was good. I think that was my final scene. Do you have another one?
No.
Okay. I do want to briefly touch on the end scene, the final scene in the phone booth where Gwen is talking to her mom,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, I'm on the other side. I'm in a beautiful place. It's wonderful here. And then you find out that Robin's there, so you get that
Yes.
call back, and his younger brother is the boyfriend. So it's just like very poetic, very beautiful, and you're like, okay. Then they pull out, and the mask sinking like
Mm-hmm.
towards the like it makes me ask the question, like, is the mask like a symbol for fear, or like does this lead into the grabber,
Mm-hmm.
but that's all I had for scenes.
Yeah.
The favorite effects,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about the grainy image and sounds when she was in her dreams. We can continue, but I think we don't need to rehash it.
Yeah.
It was really, really cool. You
Mm-hmm.
need to watch it if you
Yeah.
have not seen it.
It was a very good choice
Mm-hmm.
for this. And I can't remember in the first movie when it would show the ghosts of the other kids, they would be kind of grainy looking because they weren't
Yes.
as clear. And then obviously the voices were just distorted because they were coming through an old phone line.
Exactly.
So it was like we still got that, but it was ramped up this time.
Yeah, and I
So-
think like if you're gonna beef up, it's like the supernatural meter.
Well, and that was how that realm was depicted in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got, because she was more in tune with that realm, this movie, we got a full image of it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. I really liked the ice setting, the ice, the snow, and then the theme or whatever you want to call it, where, he even said it. He was like, hell is not fire, it's ice.
That was cool. That was a great tagline.
Because that's such a common debate, I guess, or a time and true debate, is what would be worse, dying by fire or ice. And you have to really think. Everybody wants to say ice would be better, but would it?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So that, and then my other favorite effects, and this is a freaking double-edged sword for me. This is, you can call me.
Walk carefully.
You can
because
call
the dear
me-
listeners are going to have some words. I
That's
think.
fine. You can call me like two-faced on this point, but one of my favorite effects was the gore.
Welcome to the club. It's awesome.
And it was good. I'm just saying, the reason I lost the half a point earlier because of it was there were the points where I could tell it was just a little bit of CGI, a little too much CGI-ish.
Boo.
But it was still good gore. It was impactful gore. It wasn't just blood and guts for the sake of blood and guts.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then first movie where we would see their injuries, but we didn't have a story behind it. This movie, we saw the injuries, and then we'd get the story and see how those happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that. The grabber especially, like them ripping the mask off and the fact that it had just basically adhered to him at this point.
Degloved his face, or defaced his face.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And just now mouths, jaws, when they have been removed of all skin. So I think of Batman, Dark Knight,
Okay. The Mummy, when
The Mummy.
like, very early
Anytime
on.
like so like I said, Two-Face and Dark Knight, The Mummy, when you're seeing teeth, they don't move very much, and your teeth move more than what they tend to show in sequences like that.
Okay.
So unless it's someone that just talks through their teeth and doesn't really move their jaw much, your teeth move more. That's one of my, pet peeves about that kind of effect when it's used, is that when they're talking and it's showing exposed teeth, they don't move as much as they should. So, and that's
it's a weird hill, but I like it.
Well, it's just one of those things that you see so often, and I'm like, fix it. Like, me as just a casual enjoyer of movies over here, not even a special effects makeup person, can point those out, and it's just one of those things that'll pull me out. So that was one of the pieces that caused it to lose that have a point. So,
but the rest of it was great.
Yeah, it was good gore. Like I said, it was purposeful. It was cringy for sure.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just there for shock value.
Agreed.
So,
we've hammered in the phone booth scene.
mm-hmm.
I die by that. I also had that listed as my favorite effects. We don't have to continue to rehash it. We talked about the visuals of Gwen being attacked. I was not taken out by it. It just, for me, gives a more supernatural affected. Because, immediately it just feels like Freddy Krueger, right?
Yeah.
Like you get the original Nightmare on Elm Street where these fantastical things are happening in like a 3-dimensional space, and the people on the outside are just watching absolute horror and mayhem, and the person inside is being physically affected.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see. So I thought that was a really cool effect. I'm really interested to see where they go.
Yeah.
If I don't know if it stays as Black Phone or they rebrand it for something else, but that is, again, the effects on this movie were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved it. How did this movie make you feel?
So first off, I was surprised because I didn't expect it to be. Honestly, I didn't expect it to be very good.
Okay.
As a sequel, first off, a sequel, they just typically are not good. It's just usually a cash grab. They're going off the popularity or success of the first movie to get people in the theaters, and then it's shit. Okay.
I can agree to that.
But
shout out to the Screen Blazers. The Scream 2 is a good movie, so you're fine.
But it wasn't totally predictable. But they also didn't use like impossible explanations to hide the twist.
Yeah.
So I tend to be able to like I can figure out a movie usually, and I'll call the ending early on if it, But then the ones that I don't figure it out, and it's just because like Scream 7, the ending made no fucking sense.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't, nobody was going to figure that one out because who the fuck would have thought that ending up? Anyways.
Very fair.
So, yeah. So again, impressed because it was a good sequel.
Okay.
Like going off the first movie, he died. So where were they going with the second? Did Finn actually, all of his work was for his efforts were for nothing? Somehow the grabber survived. Is it a copycat? Where are we going? The first movie had resolution enough that didn't really lend to a sequel. So that's why I was like, where are we doing with sequel here? What is it going to be about? So I liked that it was a valid continuation of the storyline.
Yes.
Not just a cash grab.
I completely agree with you on that.
And I haven't read the short story that it's, Black Phone by Joe Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this was just part of it. I kind of doubt it because it's a short story. So if the first movie was basically the storyline of the book, then this was just, he was a writer on the movie. So if this was just a completely new continuation from the story, thought it was good.
Okay.
So
I can agree. I think that's a really good point as well.
My last thing made me excited because as we know, Blumhouse and Universal have such a like close relationship now.
Yes.
They are so intertwined. We see Blumhouse pretty much at every HHN now, and I'm sure that will continue for a while.
Even to the detriment of HHN itself,
But
depending on which IP they grab
exactly.
from Blumhouse.
So this was a good one.
Yes.
And we've already seen Black Phone once at HHN in a split like double feature house.
There's a caveat, half. We got to see a half house of
which
Black Phone.
I think was fine because
there wasn't a whole lot of different places.
That would have been a hard movie to do a whole house out of.
Yes.
So it was fine. So I would not be mad about seeing Black Phone 2 in a house in the future. Even if they did a double feature type like they did with Freaky and Black Phone, the first one, or if they even did a Blumhouse Slaughter Cinema style house where each room is a different Blumhouse movie or something.
Oh, my hot take is I absolutely hate that.
Why?
I think I could not. I didn't like Slaughter Cinema.
Oh my God. Go wash your mouth out with soap.
I thought it was so stupid. Like, give me overarching story, give me continuous effects.
I love how it felt like the trailers, like before a movie.
I know that's what it was supposed to be.
That's what it was.
It just fell short for me. I'm sorry.
Boo.
The best
L
house
take.
in there.
L take.
The best house in there, the best room in there, they did make a full-length house and did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, and then what was just a poster on the wall became a freaking awesome scare zone.
That's more of a teaser. They already knew that scare zone was there. They just threw that in.
I don't care.
Okay.
That was the whole point of Slaughter Cinema, was all these ideas that they know they can use later. They put in that to see which one.
It's more of like a feed tank to like, oh, well, what was the favorite of these
guys?
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, let's figure this out.
Exactly. Give us what we want. Give us the things we like the most. How freaking dare they? Anyways, back to our points here before I completely go off on you. Oh my God.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry.
So anyways, I would enjoy seeing Black Phone 2 at HHN again because I thought it was good.
I would like him to have his own house.
This movie definitely could be a full house.
Yep.
Because, we've seen they do Jason summer camp forest settings well. We've seen that they do icy snow settings really well, just like Dead Man's Pier Winter's Wake.
Greatest house of all time.
Yes. So I think this would be great as a full house in the future. But even if it's just a partial,
okay,
I'd be happy with that.
I can agree with you there.
So
that HHN hot take is not a hot take. That's a great take. I love that.
Slaughter Cinema opinion is definitely a hot take.
Anyway, I feel excited. I'm really happy to see this as part of the Blumhouse branch. There have been some stinkers. We both know. We've seen a certain Megan situation. Is that a hot take?
At least they've not made it into a house. They haven't even made it into a scare zone.
Yeah, they made it into an experience, and that was fine because it's a cool dance.
Well,
It's probably the best scene of the whole
chase
thing.
them and stay away from the house lines.
Yeah, and then just to briefly touch, I was skeptical at first, like how they were going to do it, but I thought the way they handled the supernatural being the more very prevalent in this one, I thought was really great. And as a fan of some of the Blumhouse movies, it really does give me that hope that like this could be a step in the right direction.
They're on the right track.
Yeah. I want them to keep doing weird, fun, their business model of making movies very cheaply and still producing some great horror movies, I think is awesome. So I want to see Blumhouse succeed. I want to see more partnerships. I want to see just give me more of this. Give me more of this style of movie.
Well, what happens we see so often is that movie production company, they have all the means to make the movie. They don't have the writers.
Yes.
So pull someone in there like Joe Hill, who is a great writer. Let him make the story, and then y'all use all your other talents for producing the movie.
Yeah.
Don't produce a great movie that has a kindergarten script.
Fair.
So
very fair. As always, we'll do our closing segment. What questions does this invoke for you?
So my biggest question was at the end. So does the mask have some kind of power?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Or is it also in some way an anchor?
That's what I'm
Which,
saying.
if we're looking at, how emotions, tie things to places, things, whatever. So his spirit was tied to the camp because that was where his, killings originated and everything. But is it also he's so tied to the mask? Because at the very end it got completely ripped off and he like freaked out when it was getting torn off of him.
Yes.
And I think it was more than just the fact that it was like ripping his face off.
See, I think it was more he was ripping his face off.
I think it was he didn't, because he was so tied to that mask. Like in the first movie, when it came off, he was like covering his face,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he's so tied to that mask. But does it hold its own power or like link? Because they specifically showed that he grabbed for it as they were pulling him down in the lake and he put it back on. So does that mean he could still come back? Because he's somehow still there's still a link somehow.
That is an excellent question.
It was a little open-ended, so if they won it, maybe he could still be attached.
It was definitely more
somehow.
open than the first one.
Oh yeah.
Right, on the ending. For me, could this lead to an Ed and Lorraine style or like a Sam and Dean supernatural, like Gwen and Finn take on supernatural forces and then they travel. They call it like the Black Phone Agency or something cool like that.
That'd be funny. I mean, like that'd be funny. They like get calls.
Yeah.
Like the Ghostbusters show.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, if they did continue with characters, possibly.
Okay. Final question. Who's this movie for?
For fans of the first movie, it was a good storyline that was a continuance, but it still had its own feel.
Yep.
And then old school horror fans, because it gave those vibes in those sequences.
Yeah, those tight shot, super.
And then a summer
feels.
camp setting. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens to a lot of kids at summer camp.
Yep.
For me, if you are looking for a surprisingly fun movie that you can just enjoy, give yourself over to the setting. Just buy in early.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to fight it. Just ride that wave. I thought it was great. I think it's also fans of ghost children. That is such a fun trope.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally think that is more compelling than, some of the other tropes that are in this genre of movie. However, revenge story on top of it. And if you're looking for something with great cinematography, fun angles, and stuff that you don't see as executed as well as it should be, this movie does. But that's all we've got. That's our take on Black Phone 2. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the movie down below.
Like, subscribe, and share for more horrifying content. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay spooky.